The Treasury Department said last week that we will hit the debt ceiling again near the end of the year. Are you prepared?
Well, I think the debt ceiling will come after the first year. But please, everyone, accept this. They tried it before. They, the Republicans. They tried it before. We're going to shut down the government, and we're not going to raise the debt ceiling. If they want to go through that again, fine. But we're not going to be held subject to something that was done as a matter of fact in all previous administrations.
Will you support raising it by another $2.4 trillion?
If it has to be raised, we'll raise it.
Let's start with President Obama. Here's White House spokesman Jay Carney this afternoon.
We cannot play chicken with the economy in this way. It's just too darn risky. It's not appropriate.
Too risky, not appropriate. Here's Senator Obama on March 16, 2006, explaining why he was voting against raising the debt ceiling then. Washington is shifting the burden of bad choices, he said, today onto the backs of our children and grandchildren. America has a debt problem and a failure of leadership. Americans deserve better, he said. I therefore intend to oppose the effort to increase America's debt limit. So that's 180 degrees opposite from his position now. And here's how spokesman Robert Gibbs explained when the question first came up back in January.
This quote from a senator. The fact that we're here today to debate raising America's debt limit is a sign of leadership failure. Leadership means the buck stops here. Instead, Washington is shifting the burden of bad choices today onto the backs of our children and grandchildren. America has a debt problem and a failure of leadership. Americans deserve better. I therefore intend to oppose the effort to increase America's debt limit. I suspect you know who I'm quoting.
Joe Biden.
That is Senator Barack Obama in 2006 voting against raising the
and
debt
I think
ceiling.
what is important is understand that the raising the debt limit was not in question in the outcome.
52 to 48.
In the outcome of that vote.
It's a close vote. 52 to 48.
Well, we've had closer. I think it's important that the outcome, based on the outcome of that vote, as I mentioned, the full faith and credit was not in doubt. Full faith and credit of our government and our economy was not in doubt. And the president used it to make a point about needing to get serious about fiscal discipline. And we, as I said earlier, are dealing with the legacy of decisions that have been made over the past many years, not paying for a prescription drug benefit, not paying for wars, not paying for tax cuts that changed our fiscal situation much more markedly than anything ever had. So I think it is up to, and it's important for Congress, because we know not to play politics with this, not to play games, to find a way to raise that debt limit, understanding that we have to, as I mentioned to Matt, we're going to have to take some serious steps to get our fiscal house in order. But we understand, we know what happens. We know the catastrophic actions with things like Social Security and Medicare if you threaten the solvency of the government.
So he only voted that way because he knew that it was going to pass.
And I think clearly he was sending a message.
But he knew it was going to pass. That's why he voted against it that way.
His vote was not necessarily needed on that.
If my Republican friends believe that increasing our debt by almost $800 billion today and more than $3 trillion over the last 5 years is the right thing to do, they should be upfront about it. They should explain why they think that more debt is good for our economy. How can the Republican majority in this Congress explain to their constituents that trillions of dollars of new debt is good for our economy? How can they explain that they think it's fair to force our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren to finance this debt through higher taxes? That's what it'll have to be. Why is it right to increase our nation's dependence on foreign creditors? They should explain this. Maybe they can convince the public they're right. I doubt it. Because most Americans know that increasing debt is the last thing we should be doing. After all, I repeat, the baby boomers are about to retire. Under the circumstances, any credible economist would tell you we should be reducing debt, not increasing it. Democrats won't be making arguments to support this legislation, which will weaken our country. Weaken our country. We're being asked to do what shouldn't be asked of us, to increase the debt to almost $9 trillion. I hope everyone walking down to these desks today will understand what they're doing to our country. On this side of the aisle, we know. Thank you, Madam President.